mics are hot.
It is the hour of us to convene. Commissioners, is everybody ready? If you'll get your microphone, it's hot, go ahead. Get their microphone so that the public can hear you. We appreciate you very much. I call this meeting to order. If you will stand for the invocation, Commissioner Harvey.
Let's return thanks. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the many blessings you allow each of us. Father, I pray that you'll be with each one of us tonight, and I pray that you'll help not only us, but also the people outside that's here to speak. I pray that you will be with us, that you'll give us a good meeting, and Father, I pray that any decisions that are made will be in accordance with your holy will. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Now, if you remain standing, join me with the pledge to flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I just have a few comments to make for the attention of those who are here in our audience. Just reminded there are some rules for the way we conduct these meetings. Speakers must sign up for the meeting at the table in the back of the room, providing your name, address, and the topic you wish to discuss. If there's anyone here who has arrived late or has come and forgotten that that's part of the regulations, if you want to run back there and sign your name real quick, we'll allow a few minutes pause. But if not necessary, we'll move on. Speakers must direct your comments directly to the board as a whole and not to any one individual board meeting, or back to the audience of those who came with you. Personal disagreements with the individual board meetings or county employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated here. I have the right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of the county business in an effective and efficient way. I will be respectful in all my manners, and as will all the commissioners. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topic as related to the matters pertinent to the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No questions will be asked by any board member during the public hearing. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during these meetings. No speaker will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the board votes to suspend this rule. Thank you. First item then, moving to old business, there is none. Let's move then to item E on the agenda, new business. David?
So the board will recall back on the July 29th meeting, we had, for 65 Moon Road, we had a special exception hearing for a barn dominium. That was approved. However, barn dominium standards require a minimum 5-acre tract. This is 4.93 acres, almost there, but since we don't have an administrative variance in Spalding County, we have to go through the full variance process, so that's why this is before you again tonight, to go for that variance on the lot size for the barn dominium. Really pretty cut and dry. They have 99% of the required lot size, just missing 0.07 of an acre, but to keep it official, we need to go through this process for the variance.
All right. Do I have a motion from the commission to open the public hearing?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? It's unanimous. We will open the public hearing. Is there an applicant representing this petition?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Daryl Baker.
Mr. Baker, as you come to the microphone, please speak directly into the mic so the audience can hear you. You have up to 20 minutes to speak.
Well, hopefully we're not going to take that. We were just here back in July and the board graciously granted the special exception for the barn dominium itself. And I won't belabor the point today because I think we did a full-blown presentation. As you know, there's about 47 lots on Moon Road. The majority of those lots have homes, and I think 35 of those lots are under 2 acres. There's only a few over 5 acres there. Now, this is a barn dominium, and that's what makes it different. There's a requirement by Spalding County to have 5 acres. We're 1/100ths of an acre short, even though Jared and his friend that bought this land own the land around it, and then it's an old dairy farm. They have the right of first refusal on future land, but this was subdivided out. I actually had our local civil engineer, Joey Scanlon, work on the plans for this, who's based here out of Griffin. Did not realize that with the barn dominium, we looked at kind of the lot sizes on the road, and that's kind of how we set the size. We would respectfully ask the board to consider granting a variance, which will allow us to go Thursday night to county commission to approve the home. And we're here to answer any questions. My son Jared's here to answer any questions you might have also.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers who would like to speak in favor of this application?
No, ma'am. No one else has signed up.
Okay,
Make a motion to close the hearing.
we have to hear from the opposition. Is there anyone here no, you said there's no one else to speak either, in opposition either. So-
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Okay, moving on then. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to close the public hearing and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. There is no opposition. Pass unanimously. Mr. Allen, would you present the staff report?
So staff report is approval. As I said, it's pretty cut and dry. They're just really about 3,000 square feet shy of the 5 acres. So this is a very simple request and shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you. Is there any discussion by any members of the board?
Yeah, I would like to, so that we don't set a precedent, at least say if we're doing this, we're doing it because it is 90+% of the required square footage.
So for the record, the motion
What is it,
would
Mr.
contain
Allen?
that
90
exception.
What's the percentage on that?
Probably 99.
All right, I would say, let's make it at least 99% of the required.
So would you like to make the motion with that, is a statement?
I just did.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve with the specification that it does not set a precedent because it only addresses less than, a property that's failing by less than 99%.
Or close thereabouts.
And I have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve with those stipulations. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. It passes unanimous.
So this one will be before the Board of Commissioners on September 25th, the variance part of it. No, it can't jump 2 days from now to that. But yes, 2 days from now is the barn dominium special exception. So this got kind of jumbled up because I didn't know Newton was going to be a stickler for the variance. So I'll blame it on him since he's not here.
And next on our agenda, Mr. Allen?
Yes, application 25-14S, in-house real estate LLC owner, 2547 Locust Grove Road. parcel 209-01-038D, and 2545 Locust Grove Road, parcel 209-01-038C, located in land lot 76 of the second land district, consisting of approximately 34.3 combined acres. The applicant is requesting a special exception for a rural event center with associated short-term lodging options. So in your packet here, there is a site plan and some pictures of what they're trying to do. It's got a lot of moving parts. Basically, the front part of it, front half of it would be the event center, with a couple of buildings where you could have an indoor or outdoor events. And then the back half of it, if I'm kind of describing this roughly, would be possible short-term lodging options for guests, like if there's a wedding or a business retreat or something and it involves them not wanting to leave the property and come back and so on and so forth, they could potentially stay in those short-term lodging options overnight and stay at the event all weekend or whatever kind of event it is. So a little bit unusual in that regard. Kind of in our staff report, we broke it down into focusing on the event center versus, and then focusing on the possible housing options. So if this board wants to do that as well, I would probably recommend we do that. The applicant did give you, today or yesterday, some clarifications about some of the structures, and we'll hear from them in a minute on that. So that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor, raise your hand. We open the public hearing. Is there anyone here for the applicant? You have up to 20 minutes to speak. That includes anyone else who might come to also speak on your behalf.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Daryl Johnson, JDM Consultants. I'm the civil engineer on the project. We're helping my client, Dorothy Brown, with in-town developments, come up with a solution for the property. Right now, it's a 34-acre tract that is somewhat riddled with some abandoned buildings and stuff like that, some existing dormitories, from what I understand, from years ago. And she's trying to, if we can go to the site plan and slide down here, she's trying to go to something of an event center that could make the lot much more useful for weddings and events like that. She can speak more to that. Along that frontage of that roadway, we will subdivide this parcel into, you can keep going down, but we're gonna subdivide the parcel into three-acre tracts for residential along the frontage of Locust Grove Road. And the remaining 25 acres out of the 34, we wanted to turn into the event venue with some short-term lodging, like Mr. Allen said. We have given some thought to buffers that surround us from the neighboring communities, making sure that we're being very intentional in not causing any more sound. We know that events can bring, people, and we want to make sure we prevent against that. We got a long enough driveway entrance that we've accounted for that's going to be vegetated, that the opening is not going to be something that's not natural along that roadway. Also, as what Dorothy's thinking is during these events, at times wedding parties tend to have guests that may want to stay over for the weekend or for that event. The short-term lodging is for that. Nothing else. This won't be a rental facility for no means. When an event is over, these lodging quarters will not be filled. But we've given a lot of thought to this. We got parking. We're thinking that there may be some golf carts on the facility to help navigate such a large piece of property. But we've given some thought to this, and we wanted to see if you guys would would allow us this opportunity to bring it to the county. And Dorothy, you want to say anything? We want to yield our time just in case there's something else.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Are there, okay, are there any speakers against this application? Or any more speakers for this application? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, we have additional speakers signed up. D. Ellis.
Did we open the public hearing?
You
We did.
And ma'am, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
D. Ellis. I live 2670 Locust Grove Road.
Excuse me, Miss Ellis, would you mind just pulling the microphone? There you go. Thank you.
To whom it may concern, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Our family has owned property in this area for over 70 years. We live across the street from where the proposed event center would be developed. We have great concerns as to the future of our neighborhood. Right now, we live in a rural area, and for the most part, it is quiet and peaceful. Many people move here for that reason. We feel we will lose our serenity if the event center is built. We live in an open area that echoes. When there's an event near our home, we hear it. Let me share examples of how sound travels in our neighborhood. When people practice shooting their guns at 550 Amelia Drive, we hear it. When the church located at 3855 Jackson Road has parking lot services, we hear it. When our neighbors at 1650 North Walker Mill Road have a celebration, we hear it. We can only imagine the noise the events will generate. The noise is not our only concern. We have no information as to the maximum occupancy the building will accommodate. Will liquor be served? Will there be a need for security? What about parking? Hours of operation? What about the increased traffic when events are held? Will events also be held outside? They gave us information on that. When I called downtown, they weren't sure about what was going on with the property. So we only have a vague concept drawing of something that will permanently affect our community. Allowing the event center to come to our community opens the door to unwanted elements entering our neighborhood. For these reasons, we humbly ask the board to reject the request for a special exemption to change the property usage at 2545 and 2547 Locust Grove Road.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Eddie Ellis.
Thank you. I'm Eddie Ellis. I live at 2670 Locust Grove Road, and I appreciate you allowing me and my wife to speak. And my concern is that Locust Grove Road is, as the county is overwhelmed with keeping the grass cut, picking up trash, it's just not as applicable as it used to be. So we do it. Our neighbor, she gets out daily and she rides the road all the way up to Jackson Road, picking up trash every day. And we cut the roadway all the way up to Jackson Road. She does, and I take care of our corner. I'm concerned about people leaving, throwing trash, cigarette butts, cups, and whatever, because we take care of our community, because we don't wait for the county to do it, because it's our community in our area. And when trees fall, unless a power line come down with it, if it blocks the roadway, we rally and we come out with our chainsaw and our tractors. We cut the trees up, we move them out the way, make sure it's safe for travel, and we want to keep our community what it is. We wanted to keep it rural and for families and not for business. And I thank you all for hearing me. Thank you. And I hope you all reject this for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last name Watts.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Mario Watts. I live on 262 Locust Grove Road. I've been over there and I just bought property over there. And the reason why I moved over there was because it's a rural area. And my main concern, and I've been over there probably about maybe 2 months now. And my main concern is safety, noise, and traffic. And also, when you think about the situation, when you have more people, you have more problems. And if we don't have anybody to secure the area, police don't never come down the road as often because it's quiet. We just want to keep the community as a rural area, and that's the only reason why I moved there, because of that nature. I'm from the city of Atlanta, and I've been through this before, so that's why I moved down to Griffin in this particular area. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other speakers have signed up for this application.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I second.
Have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there is no opposition, passes unanimously. Are there any comments from the members of the board?
I just appreciate hearing from people tonight. It gives me another perspective to add into this, and I guess if David goes through some extra stuff here, I may have some extra comments.
We'll allow your comments,
Thank you.
certainly. David, do you have additional, members of the commission, any more comments? David,
So
your
just,
staff report.
like I said, to break it down, there's lots of moving parts here, just to focus, purely upon the event center part of it. Well, first of all, the houses that are gonna be portioned off at the front of the road that's not really a part of this, as long as they meet AR1 lot standards, so we're not really talking about that. But we are talking about the temporary lodging behind the event center. But to focus on just the event center for a minute, the various requirements for that, has to be at least 25 acres. It does meet that requirement. Being on a public pay road meets that. Maximum event size is 200 guests. They'll have to, for each different event, they'll have to work with the fire marshal and us on that. There is a concern about the setback on item D here. All structures, permanent structures, shall be 200 feet from the property boundary. The site plan shows 100-foot setback, so that's a problem there. Need more detailed information on the parking for sure. And then there is some confusion, and Ms. Brown, and I forwarded to y'all about the different buildings. What she was calling a barn dominium, which I think of as a house, like we talked about last month, is really more of a barn. Event center 2, I guess, event building 2, for various ceremonies, receptions, so on and so forth. And you have the other main pavilion for the events. The Aqua House, as they call it. Never heard that term, but basically a laundry room area, steam room, jacuzzi, hot tub, hot yoga area usage reserved for guests only. So that's what the Aqua House is. And then you had the various temporary lodging quarters for people that want to spend the night in the rear. So I'll let y'all answer any further questions from Ms. Brown there as well. Event center overall size, things of that nature, it's fine. However, the setback is a concern there, as I mentioned, and then we need to flesh out the number of parking spaces and, that kind of thing some more, to get a better idea of how that will affect things.
Thank you. Are there any more discussion from the members of the board, of the commission?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I was very impressed with the remarks that the opposition made, very well structured. I wish everybody that comes before us to address a proposal that doesn't seem too good for their neighborhood was as eloquent as these citizens were. I just hope that the board takes into consideration everybody else that lives out there once they get into a discussion, because that is one of the main tenets on considering rezoning, which also should apply to special exceptions and variances.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'll say again, I think that the comments were well structured too, and appreciate that, and certainly think that, the neighborhood, and don't want to change the structure of the neighborhood dramatically, and I certainly understand that. Do think that what's been proposed is a interesting concept, something that, might have some merit, but I think it seems that there's a lot to be still sorted out with some of the details and information behind it that does need some additional clarification. I noticed in the report here provided by staff, there's still a number of comments about willing to talk through and work through things and look through things in more detail with them. And so it almost seems like part of the area with the event center and the lodging there is a little bit premature, in that we're not quite far enough along with some of that discussions and review, it doesn't seem like. So I do think there needs to be additional information and provided on that. The other thing, I guess with that is, again, the question, and I'm not sure of, David, you might can answer this. You mentioned the lots they were dividing up, and as long as they met the code, but is this something that is currently an all or none scenario, or, they will go forth with the 3 lots, and that's the part you're saying you think is okay, and then would just hold off on that one parcel with the event center and stuff?
Yeah, they don't, it really shouldn't be an all-in-one for if it's just single-family detached. Are those gonna be just sold off as owner-occupied lots? Or are those for the event center, the separate lots for the houses? Yeah, sure.
Yes, please do.
Yes, the separate lots in the front would be for sale, and the 25 acres would be
So
for
they
the
have
event
nothing to
center.
do with the event center.
No, sir. No, sir. Can I respond to, I just want to, because I know that neighbors come out and we respect what the neighbors put together and their concerns. We want to make sure that we're taking heed to that, definitely. And I took some notes from the comments that they made. Definitely won't be any shooting over here on this property. The building itself, we think we would do some soundproofing inside, because we know it's an event center, we know it's a rural area. Definitely, there's going to be celebrations, but it's going to be inside the pavilion itself. There's building materials out there that we can soundproof and make things much better. The occupancy, it is 200. We don't think that events would get up to that capacity, but the county does allow for that, so we wanted to keep that in place. A few other notes here. Hours of operation was around 11 to 8, if I recall. I just want to make sure I'm touching on a few things. In terms of the upkeep of the property, we will have groundskeepers. to make sure that the property is well manicured. We will have that, again, we're selling off the three in the front, but that opening that's going down into our property will be well manicured with trees evenly spaced, nice vegetation, and it shouldn't take away from the rural area. We want to make sure that we keep that our focus. And setbacks, David did bring that up. That was a variance that we were going to ask for along that northern side from 200 to 100. And we were going to also put a fence along that side to make sure that even with the trees, we would have another barrier as a form of protection to make sure that no noise is escaping the property. I just wanted to add a little bit of
Thank you.
food for thought.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
One thing I would like to ask, David, would it be in order to just go ahead and table this for more information from the applicants?
That was the recommendation of the county zoning attorney as well, so, we could certainly get some more details as to parking counts and seeing if, the variance was totally necessary, or maybe some things could be possibly reconfigured, so it's certainly an option y'all could do.
Okay.
I will second that motion if you want to move.
I would like to make a comment, yeah.
And me too, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm always for a complete package. If you're gonna come before us and you're gonna need a special exception, or you're gonna need a variance, or you're gonna need some additional, traffic count or something like that, I would rather us to sit as a board recommending to the Board of Commissioners a complete package, not taking it this month for one thing and next month for another thing, et cetera. Sometimes it happens that way and we just have to process it, but my preference would be for us to sit down and have an opportunity for the staff to re-review those things that have been commented about through the attorney's office, as well as for the concerns of the staff has been noted. So that's my input for this case.
Yeah, and thank you. I was, several things running through my mind about this, but I like the idea of a complete package versus 1 month this and next month something else. And it seems like since I've been here, we've had several of these come up or prior discussion with, an event center. And I know we've got to talk later about some noise associated with event centers. And then here too, this, quote, temporary lodging that we've got. And then even something in the back, these cabins, excuse me. And I'm wondering too, I agree for tabling, but would the agricultural tourism district be the one, because it seems to have a lot of things covered in there that are in this application, from an event center and cabins and other things. And I'm not totally familiar with agritourism district, but it might need some definition changes, but it looks like it covers a lot of the things being asked for in this one. But I too have concerns about the number of visitors, occupants, when I saw up to 200. And I know 200 might not be coming at one time, but if they do come at one time, that's a lot of people.
Take a lot of trips.
That's a lot of trucks, traffic, cars, right dumping out where it is. And when I drove through that area, and I was really struck by those abandoned buildings and that beautiful lake, and I went, wow. And then, all the surroundings around there, all the homes, very nicely kept. You get off of Locust Grove and the atmosphere changes. And I know this would be not used every day like a commercial operation, but, when those events hit, it's going to be an intense rainfall, big event at one time. And I've suffered from similar type things out in my neighborhood in the past, and it's quite excruciating from traffic and noise and what have you. So I like the idea of tabling, just, I guess, comment with that existing pond. It kind of troubles me that, and this is just Bill's hang up, of the pond is split, the upper 2/3 are on this property, and, you know, fish don't know a boundary, and, I mean, who's to prevent someone from getting in the lake and doing stuff over off their property? I don't know if there'll be a physical barrier up somehow, and you know, where's that adjoining neighbor? Because that's a pretty good hunk of property right to the south. I thought maybe it was all the same owner at one time. Then I guess too, due to recent events with floods, I'm concerned about the flood zone out there. I looked at the flood map from FEMA and tried to overlay that on what I've got. Different maps, different discrepancies. And it looks like on the site plan that might just be the stream and the buffers, but I'd love to see where the flood zone, the 100 especially, and even though we've got maps we can get off of FEMA, these are 2017, and that's getting pretty ancient, especially with like all those devastating floods out in Texas. I'm sorry for rambling, but like the idea of tabling, I'm thinking maybe that agro-tourism district might be a better fit if they want to keep it all together. And I do not agree with kind of doing one today, one next month, so forth. So,
Thank you. Any other comments? Are we ready for a motion? Is there a motion?
yes, I'll make a motion to table.
We have
I'll
a
second
table,
that. I'll second that.
a motion and a second to table this application. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. This petition will be tabled.
Get with y'all in the next several days. The next planning commission meeting is September 30th, so there is some time to possibly look at the possibility of the variance or not and advertise for that as well. So we'll talk in the next few days.
Next item.
All right, next item is proposed text amendment to the Spalding County Code of Ordinances, Appendix 4, zoning related, relative to revisions and additions to Appendix B, Planning Commission. So this item and item number 4 kind of go hand in hand. We've been talking about this all year as far as the deletion of the Board of Appeals, and when that happens, you guys will become the Planning and Appeals Commission. So basically, this revision to Appendix B transfers the duties of the Zoning Board of Appeals to you, and Newton wrote up the language for this revised appendix. So this is what you have before you now to move this forward.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Motion to open the public hearing with a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there is no opposition, so we will move to the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against?
No one has signed up for this item.
This item has no one to speak for it, and no one has signed up to speak against. And so, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So
I
moved.
have a motion to close the public hearing with a second.
Yes.
All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
Who is the second?
Could have been me or Bruce.
Let's say that Mr. Ballard made the motion,
All right.
I did the second.
Mr. Bryant seconded.
Who's on third?
Exactly. Is there any discussion by members of the board?
Well, I guess I just got a question. So like with Mr. Baker's variance, could all that be done in one meeting then?
Yes.
Next time versus two separate meetings? Because I mean, I can see the reason for, well, I mean, the law is the law, but I mean,
So you will get,
and then I know that may be an anomaly, but I mean, that was,
so right now, when the state law changed last year or the year before, whichever, you were getting all rezonings and special exceptions, which you already, well, actually you're getting rezonings. Then the law said if you're gonna have a special exception or variance attached to that rezoning, go ahead for this board to hear that too. The only thing the Board of Appeals was hearing was standalone variances and appeals of decisions I make, so you will get everything.
Okay. But like in that case with Mr. Baker, would that be two separate meetings? I'm just trying to, in my brain,
No.
yeah. Okay,
There is a crazy, and I don't know why they do this, it's just to torture people like me, but a standalone variance, you gotta have a 30-day notice.
okay.
The other
okay.
variance, like attached to a special exception, you gotta have 1545,
Okay.
which is just insane, but the way I will plan it, you will not have two separate meetings.
Gotcha.
I
Well, I
think
would
that's-
just hate to run the applicant through that again like he had
As-
to
yes,
this time.
yes.
If there's a way to make it smoother for all of us.
Yes.
I hate to run the director through that too.
Are there any further discussion?
Man.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
A motion to approve the changes to the ordinance. Do I have a second to that motion?
I second that.
We have a motion and a second for this case. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there is no opposition. This item passes and is approved. Next item.
Proposed text amendment to the Spalding County Code of Ordinances, Appendix 4, zoning relative to deletion of Appendix C, Board of Appeals. So going hand in hand with item 3, once the Planning Commission becomes the Planning and Appeals Commission, the Board of Appeals will be deleted from the code as in all references to it, and this Appendix C as well. So,
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
We have a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone to speak on this item?
No, ma'am, no one has signed up for this item.
So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Bruce or me, either one, or Doug.
what do you?
And all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. The public hearing is closed. Are there any further reports from the staff?
No, ma'am.
No further comments from the staff. How about the members of the board, of the commission? Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
I'm good.
Hearing none, we will move to a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
I have a motion to approve with a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? This motion passes unanimously. Next item.
Proposed text amendment to the Spalding County Code of Ordinances, Appendix 4, zoning, necessary revisions and additions to proposed Appendix N, Historic Property Preservation Ordinance, per the requirements of OCGA 44-10-20 at a sequence, the Georgia Historic Preservation Act. So the Historic Preservation Ordinance that you guys have seen, I think, a couple of times now, per Newton's input, has now incorporated the state language into the ordinance, which is necessary. We gotta have a Historic Preservation Commission established, as well as some other things in here, some state processes where this ordinance would not stand legally without the state language. So all within here, you have the state language now incorporated into it in red, also with a couple of my minor additions as well. This makes this a better ordinance. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but it makes it a better ordinance. What I particularly like is the definition of historic property. And I'll read that out to you and I'll tell you why that's a good thing now. Historic property, and again, this is a state definition, it means a structure, site, or work of art, including the adjacent area necessary for the proper appreciation or use thereof, deemed worthy of preservation by reason of its value to the municipality, county, state, or region for one or more of the following reasons. I won't go into the reasons there, you can read them. But that part there about the adjacent area necessary for the proper appreciation of this is extremely important. That way, when the McElroy lawyer was talking about just the building and nothing else, well, and I was talking about property, because you can't have a Taco Bell right next to Mount Vernon. Yes, you preserve Mount Vernon, but you got a Taco Bell 10 feet away, you kind of destroy the whole image of the thing. This addresses that by saying you need a proper amount of property beside it to fully preserve it and appreciate it for what it is. So that is extremely important. So I'm glad Newton caught me on that, and now we have that as state language in this ordinance. As I forwarded to you this afternoon or yesterday, Newton had some further comments to this ordinance in blue that he gave us upon reviewing what I did here. I do agree with his comments. I will incorporate them in, except for one thing on the section 115, talking about zoning restrictions for properties like this. I see what he's saying about we may have some in the future that are commercial or industrial zone already. I get that. What I'd like to do is change this section to read those that we designate in the future as historic properties. If they're zoned agricultural or residential now, there's only certain zoning classifications they can be rezoned to. And I think that aligns with what I have in here, the intent. But I did realize what he was saying about if you might have one that's already commercial or whatever.
Right.
Already existing. So I get that, but I would like to reserve the right for the properties that are eventually designated as historic, that they only be allowed to bump up a certain level of commercial, not like industrial or heavy commercial or something like that. So I would like to keep that part in there, just reworded. So.
David, that is wonderful forward thinking.
Oh, yep.
I have a question, David, concerning that. The regulation that says that if you have any housing around it has to match the historic building, is that state or is that county?
That's county. That's a addition I put in there, in addition to the state stuff.
Okay, let's think about, we've been talking about that Marybrook property down there. There's 70 acres of land around that thing. And I think it would be a stretch to require that 70 acres, which is gonna eventually go to housing of some type, to be required to make it look like an 1870s building.
Well, it's not that you're making it look like an 1870s building. What you would do is essentially match the colors only. You wouldn't have.
That's what they've done in historic, in Williamsburg.
Okay, how does that work into the possibility of that thing being torn down?
Well, I mean, if it's torn down, it's no longer a factor there, and you no longer have to match anything as it's gone. But that way, you're not using like bright pinks and things like purples and stuff next to if you have a historic building that's earth tone or whatever. You're basically needing to be. It's not an exact match; it's a closely matching.
Okay.
So it's not saying it has to look like exactly like the farmhouse. It's mainly the color.
Yeah, it mentioned something about roof design too. Is that has to do with pitch or
I struck
colors,
out the pitch thing. I just said closely matching roof color. I struck out the thing about the slope.
Okay, so
And I
it
had
is
a question about that too.
Mainly, I
apply
want
that.
it visually to not be just completely opposite of. So it's mainly color, closely matching the color as much as possible.
I mean, to me, pitch is still important for that overall
It
aesthetic
is,
look.
but then you're starting to get asking a little bit too much. So that's why I took that out.
Well, it kind of further discussion with all this. I'm curious as to how this will work, because we've got this new commission, Historic Preservation Commission, that's got to come in. And how does that mesh with us when do they start, and when are we out of looking at that stuff? And then for additions, because I mean, if other properties get added, that's strictly back with this Historical Preservation Commission.
So they
'Cause
will see it,
operate kind of in,
Yeah.
well, separately from us.
let's say we have a list of 10 historic buildings.
Right.
They're on the list and everybody's good and all that. You guys, unless there was a rezoning involved, wouldn't even see that at all.
Correct.
They would totally focus on the colors and various repairs or remodelings, only
right.
just them.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily be tied with any of y'all's hearings.
But I mean, they propose new things, they take care of it themselves.
Yes.
And then does that go to the commissioners then for their final?
Only if there's an appeal of it does
Okay.
it go to the commissioners. Like when we did it in Jonesboro, it's called a certificate of appropriateness.
Correct.
And only the Historic Preservation Commission in Jonesboro would issue that certificate. It would go no further from that point.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah.
And then going back to like these, like here under that, I think it's 117. My copy is kind of, yeah, it's 117, where we're listing all those things. So then, does the Historical Commission look through those to, or is that strictly zoning? I mean, right there. So in other words, I guess who would enforce that? Historical Preservation or do we?
That would be you guys on that. That would go through me first, the adjacent properties.
Okay, okay.
You know, I'd say, hey, look, you got a historic building here, so there's only so much y'all can do. Ideally, you, like an adjacent property, if they're asking for a special exception or whatever, those requirements be tacked on to whatever y'all decide on it. So,
Okay, okay. I'm just trying to understand
Right.
how how it would work in the future.
Just a reminder, we have to do a public hearing on this, so.
That's right, and then new members selected and.
Right, I'm
Put it
saying
in
we gotta do
place.
a public hearing on this text amendment.
We have not moved, we
No, yeah.
branched out from the introduction a little bit there,
I'm just trying to understand so I can.
I would have a motion to
Vote
open the public hearing.
So moved.
Sure.
I have a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a motion? I second that motion.
Second.
Is seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Is there anyone to speak?
No, ma'am, no one has signed up.
No one has signed up. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion to close the public hearing with a second. All in favor, raise your hand. The public hearing is now closed. Next item.
Well, we need to.
Comment?
Oh, do we have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Or further discussion.
And sorry if I got carried away.
It's all right.
I'm
We
sorry.
all did.
I thought we were open for that.
Yeah,
Partially.
well, I had a few as well, so,
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce.
again, I guess my concern is, part of it is just going back with with just strictly color, because, I mean, again, I can understand that we don't want, some modern looking building there by it, stucco building or something like that, but, back at that time frame, there was, various construction methods and things they were using that could be fitting with that, and there were other colors that were, primarily used during that time, that I think possibly could be used to give it a little bit of a variation, but try to keep things, looking consistent, so.
You talking about on the adjacent properties? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so I wonder if it is limiting too much just to, well, or limiting enough in some regard to say color, because, again, I don't want it to be the same color, but be something that really stands out as, an odd thing, building or structure to put there. So that is one concern. I appreciate the fact, like say, I'd looked through Newton's other, comments, and I thought those were pertinent and worth considering as well. The one other question I had there, I know, we're dealing with a little bit of a different scenario, down there with the Gassert House, and other potential development, things that have been discussed around there. And we've since had additional feedback and information from attorneys and different people about objections to this. But have we had any other, comments or anything, from the smokehouse or double cabins or anybody involved with those, objecting to any of this?
I've met with both of them and had discussions. They did not have any real objections, except they didn't wanna be, living on the property. They didn't wanna be like totally held captive about what they could do and not do. And I basically explained most of what they're doing now is grandfathered in anyway. This would kick in if their houses were designated as historic, they would kick in if they sold the property or they even tried to rezone it and have something incompatible there, or they try to do like a major addition to it or tear it down, then this would come into play. But I'm not gonna go out there every time they have to replace a couple of 2x4s and, no, you can't do that,
Right.
It's not that obtrusive,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, and then I guess lastly, I mean, I can kind of understand, and that's why I was asking about that. Some of the objections, now all of a sudden you've had this property for all these years and now
Right.
somebody's coming in and saying, okay, now we're gonna put you under additional guidelines and restrictions that you didn't ask for. I can understand that side of things. And then you had mentioned earlier that as we look at new properties to consider, at that time, we would consider the zoning of what they currently were and stuff like that. And, I guess my position there would be, well, are we not also going to give these three a similar type scenario and some of that, what it is now and stuff, or is just forced upon them?
Yeah, what I want to avoid, and so far these three, and I'm gonna strike out mention of these three in the code right now, and once this gets adopted, the board will say, hey, we want this one to be considered, and they vote up or vote down. But these three right now are agricultural and residential. So what I don't want is for them, the only scenario I don't want is for them to be somehow rezoned to manufacturing or heavy commercial or something like that, which would just destroy the intent. Some light commercial or something like that, like even, Newton with his lawyer's office out of the house over here, that's good. So certain uses are fine and I think could revitalize and make a different use for the building, and that helps preserve it. But just don't put out tractor trailer trucks and various things. So I'm trying to control the excess. So if that answers your question.
Well, I think it does, and I appreciate that. And, again, kind of like I mentioned earlier, and sometimes I think it kind of brings us into more of these issues where we got to work through a couple more details when we kind of get the cart before the horse in some ways. It seems like to me if we could have gone ahead and gone through these in more detail and put together this deal with the historic preservation and kind of gone ahead and laid some out, and we went in with, I understand why these three are there, but if we'd already had that established and some other recommendations to go along with this at the time, I feel like may not be quite as much in a quagmire as, if we were a little further along with it and now working on it. But that's neither here nor there, but just food for thought for future considerations. And again, I appreciate the efforts, and I think we've come a long way with it, but
It does require us to do a future inventory of future ones. I just don't know which one of those is gonna be and, all the particulars. But, these three are the low-hanging fruit. And there's not really an appetite for preservation of these. It's probably gonna be even tougher on the other ones, so.
Well, they might be surprised. Just
Maybe.
Extra comments. I do like the way this is going, and I think too, one of the goals is to get this approved by Historic Preservation Division. Then we can qualify for, I think it's certified local government for grants and extra stuff through that. And this ordinance does comply a lot with what DCA, Historic Preservation Division, needs to have. They've got to review it, and then once they review it and approve it, then we would get that certified local government, which is different from qualified local government.
Right.
I got confused, but they're two separate entities. And I do think moving this along is really good. I guess my other comment is when we got the Griffin Spalding Historic Society?
Yes.
Have they looked at this to give some input? I mean, I know they've been around a lot longer than,
They have seen they saw the original ordinance. In fact, they were here
Right.
last month. I can show them this. All it is basically putting the state language in it. So I don't know they would have a problem, but I can certainly forward it to them.
well, I mean, they're the more knowledgeable experts than any of us, and I'd sure appreciate them at least saying, hey, it looks good, or we would suggest this. Cause I know the city of Griffin has a certified local government status for their,
Right.
for their historic ordinance. And they probably helped with that way
I
back
think-
in the
I
day.
think that's a good idea, only because they may have seen something that we're not aware of, and also it gives us a chance to say, yes, we showed you this, and if you've got a problem with it, you should have said something.
Right,
I'd like to comment that I think we're extremely lucky on this board right now. Our community development director, if I'm not mistaken, is a landscape architect. And then
Yes.
we have a structural engineer, or a structural architect over here on the board. I mean, those are two great combinations. You just very seldom get either one of those on this type of board, and we have both. So we're blessed.
Yep.
Are there further comments by the commission? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve as
Yes.
presented tonight.
We have a motion to
With
approve
Newton's
Well,
revisions.
and staff and attorney
as per
recommendations.
recommendation from the staff and attorney.
Correct.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
We have a second to the motion. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. The motion passes. Next item.
All right, proposed text amendment to Appendix 4 zoning ordinance of Spalding County, Articles 11A through 15, pertaining to necessary corrections, clarifications, and improvements to uses and standards in certain portions of the zoning ordinance. So moving right along here with all our different zoning districts, we're now at Article 11A is R6, the last of the residential ones. And then you have Article 12 through 15, which are commercial and industrial zoning districts. I will say on these that a lot of the changes, it looks like a lot of red, but some of the main things on some of these were just reorganization of them. You shouldn't have to have, for the commercial ones like C1 and C1B and all that, they seem to have all the same uses listed, like bakery and da-da-da-da-da. All you gotta do to clean that up is say, you got a progression of intensity. You got neighborhood commercial, highway, heavy commercial. Anything that's good in neighborhood commercial should automatically be good in the higher up highway commercial. So I just put that as any use in neighborhood commercial is allowed, and so that deletes a lot of the redundancy. So that was a major cleanup there. Some of the other uses, and this doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually is, we've had some, in my year here, some what I call problem child uses like tire stores, various things like that. While not outright outlawing them, we've moved them from being a permitted use and even in like heavy commercial to being in gas stations, things of that nature, to being a special exception. So we're kind of saying pump the brakes on having another tire store, another gas station, whatever. Let's talk about this. Let's see the context of it, and you guys would look at it and possibly apply some approval conditions, things like that. So certain uses like that are no longer an automatic permitted use. They need to be seen by you guys and ladies. So that's all I have right now on that. But this is a public hearing as well. So.
Does any of this
Do-
address,
I have a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll move.
I have a motion to open the public hearing. I have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. We have a public hearing. Is anyone to speak on this item?
No, ma'am, no one has signed up for this item.
So I have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Motion to close the public hearing. All in favor, and seconded, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Are there any comments by the members of the commission?
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Do we have anywhere in here, and I don't know, we need it, something that might address, setbacks from adjacent property on data centers?
That was already set when y'all approved the data center ordinance. So yes, that was, and C1C where data centers are allowed, and one of those was all those standards from the data center ordinance were incorporated into here as well.
Good, thank you, sir.
Oh, one other thing that's important, it seems minor, but it's actually important. At the end of, if you recall, all the residential zoning districts at the end said, any use not listed in here is not allowed. I did change that on the commercial ones at the end because we have a ton of uses these days that we can't account for every single use. So I put on there, any use not listed will at the discretion of the zoning administrator, me, be brought to y'all as a special exception. So you can at least hear it out, see what it is. So I think that provides some much needed flexibility with commercial stuff. 'Cause there's so many uses these days that you can't account for them all. So,
Some of you don't even have names for.
all right.
Do we have any other comments? Yes.
David, it may just be the way it was printed and stuff, but just noting, like, usually when you start off the section, it has like, you know, the article and the information on there, but under section 1201 C1 and 1301 C1A, we didn't have that. Is that, again, is that just a printing issue or just something that needs to be cleaned up? Just keep it as consistent as possible.
Let me see here. You said 1201?
Yes, sir. Well, basically 1200 and 1300 section.
What is missing exactly?
Like the header. At the,
I did notice that too,
At the
Bruce. I
start of
don't
it.
recall the one.
I mean, I got the purpose and the boundaries and stuff on there, but I can, you know, put the header as well.
well, I mean, like usually we're starting off with Article 11A, you know, R6, and here we don't have the article and tying that in. I just. it
Oh,
just
okay,
was-
yeah, I started, with just the first section, the purpose, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that was just a typo, just missing that out.
Okay.
Thanks for catching that. I didn't notice that.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you pointed, because I did notice that in one, and I had to look back to see where it was supposed to be.
Yeah, whenever this gets to a second reading, that'll obviously be included in there.
Okay.
And I had a comment too, I guess, and this is real minor, but why are we calling the manufacturing in a C class?
I don't know.
Could we do that as an M or an I? I mean, versus, because, you know, your first glance, well, that's another commercial. I mean, and I did look up.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
a lot of counties having either an M or an I in that versus a
yeah, it
C1C.
does make sense. We'd have to like change the whole zoning map, but it does make sense.
Well, I mean, since we're going through
Yeah.
a lot of junk now with having to do things, and I don't mean junk is unnecessary, but a lot of
Right.
cleanup and a lot of things that we're having to
I
attend
mean,
to.
in like Pike and other places I've been, it's been a M.
Yeah, and I want, why do we do it as C? I mean, understand we're different, but,
Good question.
and then, dude, I guess just feedback, has the development authority weighed in on any of these? Have you gotten feedback from them? Is this workable with those? They deal with strictly manufacturing, to my
Yeah,
knowledge.
I have not given it to them directly. Have actually in the industrial things have actually added some categories of manufacturing, so
Right,
it
right.
made it better, I think, as far as more flexible. So
Well, I was just thinking like with the historic preservation, there's folks that's their specialty, and could we get there at least review whether or not we take comments back in that, you know, they may have
Yeah, I can,
heartburn over it.
between here, if this goes to the BOC, I can certainly get their input.
I think that'd make us look like we're all working together if they know about it versus the surprise.
Maybe may I add something?
Sure.
On page 262, truck terminal. The lot shall not be located directly adjacent to any existing residential neighborhood. So if we had this, we wouldn't have some of the problems we got off the Bolton Parkway.
Yes, and also, when I worked in Jonesboro, I don't know about here, but we had terrible, terrible times with people, and I guess it's a good way to make money, but having these huge truck parking lots with semis that would just stay there all the time, and they'd pay rent or whatever, lease it to have a space there, and it looked absolutely horrible. So trying to avoid that here.
Good, thank you.
And is that allowed here? I mean, of like a quote vacant parking lot that, or would that be code enforcement?
I have put all the parking lots that are mentioned in here that are obviously are just standalone parking lots like that as a special exception,
Okay.
so. Yeah. Cause that got really, really ugly.
Oh, yeah, it is, where you see it.
All right.
Tell you put a lot of work into this.
Yes, this is,
Are there any other comments from the commissioners?
I'm good.
Do I have a motion?
Oh, moved.
and I'll second, but do we do all these at one time? Or do we
Actually,
need-
no, yeah, last meeting you did them each district separate. That's a good point.
I didn't want us to get in trouble with powers that be.
Very good point. So you have 11A, which is R6.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve Article 11A to R6?
So moved.
I have a motion
Motion
to
to approve.
approve and seconded.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a motion to approve and second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. It passes unanimously. Do I have a motion regarding Article 12, C1 zoning?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. The motion passes. Do I have a motion regarding Article 13?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
So moved.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. That item passes. Article 14. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Yep.
A motion to
Second,
approve
as long as
and
we look at the
second.
lettering.
Yes.
Yep.
And
I did second.
and we got a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? There is no opposition. Article 14A, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve with a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. That passes. Article 15.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve with a second.
Second.
With a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there is no opposition. Do I have a motion regarding the legal ad template?
You don't need a motion for that. That's just-
It's on the list. I want to make sure that I didn't leave something out.
Good point.
No, don't do that.
No, you don't do that.
Okay, having now had motions and approvals, we can move forward to the next item, number 7.
Yes, 7, proposed text amendment to the Spalding County Code of Ordinances, Appendix 4, zoning relative to revisions and additions to urban proximity standards currently located in section 413. So there are some minor, standard changes proposed for this. We're not reinventing the wheel. These sections, this is a area that's designed to basically at the dividing line between the city of Griffin and Spalding County to kind of provide a good transition between the more urban city environment versus the county environment, so providing some kind of, I guess, suburban, for lack of a better term, standards for properties to be developed on this dividing line. Mr. Jones here will clarify more of the changes more in just a second here, but that's my basic introduction to it. And we'll discuss it a little bit further in a few minutes.
Do I have a motion to open a public
So
hearing?
moved.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there is no opposition. It passes unanimously. Are there speakers?
Yes, ma'am. Stephen Jones.
Mr. Jones, if you would speak into the microphone. You for or against?
For.
For. You have a total of 20 minutes should you need to take it.
Chairwoman, I promise I will not take the full 20 minutes.
I hope so.
Chairwoman, Commissioners, my name is Stephen Jones, the law firm of Taylor Duma. My address is 1600 Parkwood Circle, Suite 200, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. As Mr. Allen said, this is a proposed amendment to the urban proximity special exception as part of the recodification and code cleanup. It may land in a different section, but right now it's in 413 under special exception. Mr. Allen and I, and to an extent, County Administration and Mr. Galloway had some discussions about the urban proximity special exception and bringing it current and making it more in line with today's market. And so we all worked collaboratively to come up with these amendments and these proposed text changes that you have here. There are a number of changes. I can go through each one. I don't want to usurp Mr. Allen's staff report, but if you look at page 330 of your agenda packet, you will see the beginning of that text amendment. Number one, we clarified what the special exception was for, and it's for properties with a density greater than 1 unit per acre. Again, these areas, and they're designated on a map. If you look in the comprehensive plan, that's the best visual map you can get of it, but there's actually a map floating out there. And as part of this amendment, I believe there will be another map attached, but these areas are generally designated around the city of Griffin, as Mr. Allen noted, to provide a buffer between city density and less dense properties in the county. What it's intended to do is allow the county to zone property that might be potentially annexed for a density that's consistent with the densities that are around it. So that's really the general notion. As you look at the parcel, you look at the densities around it, and this board, does the Board of Commissioners find it appropriate to grant a special exception for density that's consistent with the properties in the area, or just generally appropriate for the property that is at issue. There was some interesting language in the original draft about gridded streets, and there are a lot of properties that might not technically fit the gridded street requirement because where they abut the city. So we eliminated that, leaving it to the discretion of this board and the Board of Commissioners. There's some minor text cleanup. It also, the general architecture, we're generally sticking with the architecture that you see in the city that developed in the 1950s era. That was the intent of the ordinance originally. We're sticking with that. But we're also updating some of the architectural requirements because nobody builds a new house like they did in the 1950s. I mean, people have garages now. So we're incorporating elements to permit garages, some with front entry garages, not to exceed 35% of the total dwellings. Also include a list of architectural standards. We wanted to provide some flexibility so that you could really mold this board, and the Board of Commissioners could mold the special exception to meet the specific property in terms of architectural style. We updated the potential materials. Originally, it had included vinyl. We deleted that and went with wood, brick, stone, synthetic stone, or hardy board. Made one clarification to the 10-foot ceilings to permit fur down chases, duct chases in the ceiling line. If you come down to page 332, in general, we were talking about a plan-specific zoning, so the development shall be consistent with the concept plan. That goes back to deleting the gridded street requirement, because there may be properties that are subject or potential to be annexed. It might not fit an exact grid pattern, but you can see, and the Board of Commissioners would be able to see a concept plan, and you can decide whether the street layout on that concept plan is appropriate. We addressed setbacks in front yard we addressed all setbacks, front, sides, left the sodded yard, deleted a provision regarding common space, because why dictate what the concept plan is when you're going to actually have a concept plan before you? And then dictated what the amenities would be and increased the required amenities from 2 of the following to 3 of the following. And that's really the extent of the changes. If to recap and boil it down, it's to make the ordinance more flexible so that more properties are eligible for this zoning. Instead of being annexed, they could be zoned and developed in the county, and to bring the architectural standards current so that you can have the styles reminiscent of those houses that are developed in the city and were developed around mid-century, but also have some of the modern amenities that folks are used to. With that, if you have any questions for me about this proposed text amendment, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, thank you so much for your time.
I have one question. On page 334, it highlights the plan, well, actually, it starts on 333 and 334. It highlights the consideration of the Planning Commission now that we have recommended that this board be renamed to something different. Does that edit need to follow through on these documents as well?
Yes, ma'am. And this was drafted prior to that amendment. So when it gets codified and again on second reading, I think that'll make its way through. And they'll travel, these amendments should travel together as they reach the Board of Commissioners. So if the renaming of the board passes, then I think it's probably fair to say that this amendment would be changed at the second reading to comport.
There would probably have to be some clerical cleanup in early 2026 to, when all the dust settles, to make sure everything's referenced properly.
Thank you.
A lot of Control F.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We have a motion to close the are there any other speakers?
Frank,
No, ma'am.
One more.
Frank had a question.
I know in the city, there is no rear setback if you're adjacent to a railroad track. Very few people involved with permitting in the city were aware of that. What do we have in the county, Mr. Allen?
I'll have to verify that. That's a good question.
I think it's a great idea because you're not gonna have anybody there.
I think it's the same
Building
way.
behind you.
I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere where it was the same way,
Okay,
where it's not a setback.
thank you.
And to your point, Commissioner Harris, there will be a concept plan submitted with any one of these applications. So if you got a property adjacent to the railroad, the concept plan would control.
Thank you.
Just a question, what caused you to want to do this?
Looking through the ordinance, prospecting properties with a number of potential clients.
Right.
And then talking with Mr. Allen, talking with Mr. Galloway, and we were like, well, if it's designed to allow development that you could do if you annexed, why are we excluding properties based on various requirements? Let's open it up to the entire urban proximity map and then make it concept plan specific. So the idea was to let more applications come before this board for eligible properties and not pigeonhole properties based on the ordinance.
Okay.
And then other minor cleanup.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions for the applicant or the presenter?
For the petition.
Thank you, that's all right, thank you. Do I have a motion to close the public
So
hearing?
moved.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there is no opposition. Is there a motion?
The only thing
regarding
I'll,
this?
just real
Yeah,
quick,
I
the
had a
only thing
question,
I'm sorry.
I'll add to what Mr. Jones said is this whole urban proximity standard will be moved to that architectural guideline ordinance that you guys already approved about a month or so ago. That way, all the architectural standards are in one place. You don't have to go hunting for them all over the zoning code, so they'll be moved with this wording to that section, that ordinance. So,
Thank you.
just wanna make a note of that.
Appreciate that
And
clarification.
I had a question, and it's, sorry, I kind of focus more on the physical features of a lot of things. On page 324, and this is talking about the common areas, it's allowing space to be used for calculations. And as I was reading through this, I was wondering why the detention facilities can all be included where right above designated wetlands and then right below detention, you've got retentions. We're only allowing 10% in the total area. And I know, detention facilities are wet and saturated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know too many people that like to go out and play in detention facilities. Retention ponds are kind of fenced off lakes and other, but I was just curious as to why couldn't we add 10% under the detention? Cause it's gonna collect water.
I think that's a very good point, and I think that's something we could certainly put in there. Yeah,
And
there's
like I
really
said,
really no difference.
yeah, I mean,
Practically speaking.
other than we just didn't do it.
Right, I agree.
And that was all, just that minor question with that.
Any other comments from the members of the commission?
Good document.
Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Make
So
a
moved.
motion. Frank,
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there's no opposition. This item passes unanimously. Next item.
All right, last but not least, proposed text amendment to Appendix 4 zoning ordinance of Spalding County pertaining to necessary revisions and improvements to standards and processes for event centers. We've had, not with this board, with the Board of Commissioners, several lively discussions about event centers in terms of noise and their activities. Mr. Whelan is here from Mystic Acres, who will probably speak during the public hearing part. Trying to strike a balance between citizen concerns about noise, which are obviously very legitimate, but at the same time, when the county is actually approved an event center, you're essentially saying to a certain extent, we accept a certain level of noise and activity because we approve it. So trying to strike a balance between citizen concerns about sustained noise levels and then not making the event center responsible, but not super hard on them where they can barely conduct business. So we had a workshop on this. Dr. Ledbetter had some input as well as Stephanie Wyndham, the general county attorney. We had a workshop with commissioners on this back in July. They had a lot of input. So what you see before you is would be a completely new ordinance section here. And basically it incorporates most of the major principles from that workshop we had. Again, it tries to strike a balance between the needs of the public and the needs of the event center to conduct good business. Also lays out some specific processes for an event, if you have a complaint, what happens after that. So it kind of lays out that process better than we've had before. Now, important note, this is concerning outdoor amplification. Amplified noise, obviously, is microphones, speakers, those kind of things, not your normal noise. So it's concerned with the outdoor amplification and what happens to violations of our noise ordinance with outdoor amplified noise, so.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak on this item?
Need to do a motion to open it.
Oops, thank you. Do I have a motion to open the public
Motion
hearing?
to
I have a
open.
motion to
I'll
open the
second
public hearing with a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? The motion passes. Public hearing is open. Do we have anyone who's here to speak on this item?
No, ma'am, no one has signed up for this item.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Motion to close the public hearing with a second.
I'll second.
And I have a second. All in favor, raise your hand to close the public hearing. Thank you. That passes also unanimously.
Okay,
Staff report.
we did have some, and I forwarded to you from Mr. Wheeling of Mystic Acres, some further, input he had, based on the ordinance. It was fairly minor. A couple of clarifications he wanted on here as far as, basically in section 3, it calls for, in addition to their rental agreement, a document saying that they're not always out there, but they have a manager out there managing the events. There's usually a disc jockey of some kind, things of that nature. It's basically putting some responsibility on those folks as well, so that they understand the rules, so they would have to sign the document for that as well. So that's a requirement. And then there's a couple of areas where I should have put the word outdoor amplified noise on here that I did not. Let me make sure I'm addressing his concerns here. I've got them here. So basically, indoor noise is not regulated. Like if you had an indoor event center, we wouldn't have these problems. But the problem also happens too with, you have like a barn or something for a wedding, okay, it's mostly inside, but if somebody leaves the doors or windows open and you have that 5-minute or more period of sustained noise, which is heard outdoors, the property line, then you might have a problem. So we have some processes in here for not to shut the entire event down, because I don't want to personally get involved. The only thing more dangerous between a mother bear and her cubs is getting between a bride and her wedding. So we're not going to go out there and shut down an entire wedding based on the noise. You can warn them about the noise, shut off the amplified sound, but the entire activity is not going to stop. You know, the wedding, the reception will still go on, just not with the amplified outdoor noise. There's a couple of clarifications in here, some wording I need to put in here based on that to make sure we know that it's the outdoor noise, not indoor noise. We are also careful to define amplified sound as that from speakers and microphones, not, somebody talking at normal levels or dishes clinking or whatever. So it's not just any noise. And it has to be sustained at the property line for a certain amount of time. It's not somebody driving by with a boom box and on Highway 362 and then they're gone in 3 seconds.
How about glasses clinking?
Not that.
It's not amplified.
Right. So, I did take his, comments into account here. I think we can incorporate those in here because most of them were just clarifications of certain things. So I think we got a decent workable process here. Obviously this will go to the commissioners next. But I think we're along the ways of coming up with a more logical process than we have now. If an approved event center is convicted of 2 or more violations in a calendar year, then they'll be forced not to shut down. But to come to this, the Board of Commissioners with our amplification permits for every single event, and that is painful. That's not something they want to do. It's something we've been doing in light of not having this process, but we're going to stop doing that once this process is ratified. But that would be their punishment, if you want to call it that. They would have to have every event approved and not just, operate as an approved event center. So there again, that's for violations of 2 or more convictions in a calendar year of violating the outdoor noise rules. So,
David, could I address that problem, please? I could see, being a member of Kiwanis here, which is also an event center.
what was that? I'm sorry.
I said I'm in Kiwanis, which is an event center here.
Okay.
Even though it's city, I guess this is gonna eventually, be part of the city ordinance also. This right here about where it says the officer shall determine if the event center's amplified sound is audible with unaided human hearing, that could get, just because somebody does not want an event center there, that could go awry real quick there because, we have a situation, well, let's face it, we have a situation at Kiwanis that we could have this one guy to call up and say he don't like it and get us closed down for a year. I think that you should have something about decibel levels here or some indicator there rather than just audible for the human ear.
We talked about that in the workshop. You'd have to have a decibel meter that to be calibrated right. But let me ask you a question about the Kiwanis. Is your activities inside or outside?
Well, they're inside, but you have people going inside. The events are naturally inside. Now, we do have some in the fairgrounds in the back occasionally. But if you talk about the event center and somebody goes outside to smoke and all of a sudden doors open and that amplification from the inside all of a sudden goes to the outside. And see, my problem with that is you could have somebody call up twice in a year and pretty much shut you down. And I have a big problem with that.
Well, it says in here, and I debated what making it 10 minutes or not. It does say 5 minutes of sustained, as in continuous, not just one flare up of noise when somebody opens the door for 20 seconds, but I'm talking 5 minutes of bass or whatever sustained that the officer is hearing. Just like with dog barking cases with animal control ordinances, you had to have 30 minutes of sustained barking for a dog.
Yeah.
If you took a 2-minute break, you started over. So this is like sustained, somebody screaming in a microphone.
Okay,
kind of
I could see that, you
Yeah.
know, and being also, in Sun City, we have the problem with a lot of people complaining about Cherokee Rose, there, so.
There again, they were there first, so that's a
That's
matter
right.
of, that's a different story.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
But they still, would they not be, this not pertain to Cherokee Rose at all?
No, this is just pertaining to, that's not really an event center anyway. This is just the hosting of event places, receptions, weddings, birthday parties, so on and so forth.
Okay.
It's not dealing with gun ranges.
But the key thing is the amplified sound.
Yes, microphones.
Because I had a question here, like if someone puts their band, the band is gonna do a set outside. As long as they don't have amplification,
Correct.
they could play as loud as they want for as long as they want.
Correct. And that's why it's very careful in the definitions here. Amplified sound is defined as any sound projected or transmitted by artificial means, including loudspeakers, bass speakers, microphones, and similar devices. The amplification permits that the city has done for years, and is now in our department, only deals with amplified sound.
I get that, but I'm just, so we're taking care of one thing, but there's still Doesn't the county have a noise ordinance?
They
I
do,
mean,
yes.
so how does this,
After a certain
mesh with
period
that.
of 9 p.m., the sounds and
it's overlap.
in fact, on the amplification permit, Eva, how is it worded on there? Where it's amplified sound not after 9?
Letter D, no amplified sound for events on the event center premises shall occur after 9 p.m.
Right, and that really should say outdoor amplified sound. Yeah, so that was one of the changes. That word outdoor needs to be put in there.
And then, I mean, I share Doug's concern too of if someone really wants to, and then unaided ear right at the property line, so if you're,
I might bump that up to 10 minutes.
well,
That's a lot. Yeah.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
but then too, right at the property line, so who stands right at their property line other than somebody really gonna make a case? 'Cause I mean, if you're hearing something, I'm not gonna be in my house or out on my deck, I wanna go stand on that property line.
Right. Now, the original proposal was stake in the ground 100 feet from on the property, so that was a bit harsh.
Well, I mean, you know, who's gonna measure it and,
Certain people would.
well, I know that, but I'm just, you know,
Yeah.
worried about how this gets enforced or interpreted.
Right.
The only other question, and I was looking at this over.
There again,
Yeah.
once that, let's say the 5 minutes is violated, the officers asked them to go in there and turn off the amplified part.
Correct.
So it's not necessarily a citation conviction.
Oh, yeah, I
then.
understand,
Yeah,
but,
that's the next worst case if they refuse. The DJ says, "Forget you, I ain't doing it." Yeah.
well,
that kind
then,
of stuff.
then the key thing, you've got law enforcement
Right.
there.
Exactly.
And I guess just a comment related to that, is this the sheriff's department that would be doing this?
Yes.
And just from previous experience, I would make sure that this gets reviewed with the sheriff, because in previous zoning disputes, you call law enforcement, they don't know anything about zoning.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you might have to have a primer. Okay, so over on item,
National Guard.
well, I guess whoever you call and shows up. But under item F on the next page, so it just says to a non-wedding event. So what happens for a wedding?
Well, I'd like to get it a lot sooner than that. What I'm trying to avoid, and
But I mean, I guess what I was getting, is there a different time for a wedding versus non-wedding? Because it,
well, the wedding is planned out a lot more in advance, but
so is there a requirement then for like a wedding permit, or, I mean, wedding sound permit?
what I was trying to avoid is this. Back when this past summer, they've had to, in June and July, do the amplification permits, and the way stuff was falling, by the time we had a Board of Commissioners meeting, I'd be like, okay, they're seeking approval on, let's say the meeting was on June 20th.
Right.
We're seeking approval for a wedding on June 25th. Well,
Exactly.
let's say the board said no, the
Right.
wedding's still gonna go on. So
Right,
I'm
right.
trying to, in advance, as much as possible,
Well,
get away from that silliness of
Right.
saying no to a wedding 5 days from now when you know full well it's gonna go on, so.
But the way I'm reading this, if it's a non-wedding, do I have to get a permit? If I'm gonna have a family reunion,
If you use amplified sound, then yes.
so it's 45 days? Okay. And I'm not trying to pick, I'm just
No, I know.
trying to understand the
And it's
ordinance
easy to
here.
forget that this just involves outdoor amplified sound.
Correct.
Yeah, I forgot that, so it's easy to get in the weeds with this.
Because like too, going by Mystic Acres, since they're not here, and I've been by driving, and I have heard, I guess, amplified sound on 362.
Right.
So I mean, I can appreciate the requirement for this.
This avoids, when you do amplified sound, it avoids, I don't like my neighbor's lawnmower too loud, and blah, 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 all that stuff.
Good luck.
More comments from the commission?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Again, I appreciate the fact that you're considering some of the notations and information that was presented, because I thought a lot of those were pertinent in getting the outdoor versus general things and stuff too, but, and I apologize because I did attend the last, commissioner meeting where we did have a long list of some of these things that were on there or recently attended, may not have been the last one. But, and it was kind of awestruck by why in the world are we going through every single one of these things? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I guess I'm sorry for my ignorance with this, but so why, I mean, why is our normal noise ordinance not good enough anymore? It's just general ordinance. What has caused this to come about? Why we think we need something more just for these? And it seems like it's almost more stringent, because I thought our regular noise ordinance was like 10 o'clock or so and not 9 o'clock. Is that not correct? It's 9? Okay.
Well, what we were running into was,
Mississippi, I'm sorry.
the amplification permits, basically you need them for anything using amplified sound if it's going beyond that 9 o'clock time and it's going beyond a 5-hour duration. And, you know, a lot of these events with event centers, of course, they're gonna exceed that because it's just the nature of weddings and birthday parties and stuff. But we didn't have a way until this of saying, we're gonna spot you more sound because you're an event center, and we said you were okay. They were still falling in the cracks of having to get these amp permits every single time, and it was getting kind of ridiculous and redundant. So this is kind of addressing a gray area that, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
More comments from the commissioners? Do I have a motion? I have an emotion to approve. Do I have a second?
Oh, I'll second, sorry.
Who did the motion to approve?
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris, sorry. I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, one opposition. The motion passes. That brings us to the consideration of approval for the meeting minutes of the meeting held on July the 29th, 2025.
Make a motion approved.
We have a motion to approve the minutes as published and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, there is no opposition. This item passes. Any additional comments regarding this issue or any other issue or personal preference from any members of the commission?
I do.
Thank you.
And this might be directed for Erica.
Yes, sir.
Can we do something with that printer so that the backside of every page, the whole center section is blocked out?
I believe you would need to talk to the department that printed that. But yes, sir, I'm sure we can make the accommodations to get the cartridges replaced.
I mean, it's been going on now for 4 months where that whole section is missing.
One upstairs? Okay. Yes, sir. I will call the appropriate people and get that taken care of first thing in the morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Just
Mr. Bryant.
something, first of all, I mean, I'm always impressed with what David has before us to look at. I know he's done a lot of work, and any of my comments are not meant to argue. It's just, asking for clarification. I'm still in a learning phase of this, like probably we all are with new things. And like on that case where we had the barn dominium, the event center, and the tiny houses and all that, when I was looking through that, I looked over in that agritourism, and I think I even made some comments back from like that A6. There's extra requirements that have to be asked for, like in the plan review. And I'm wondering, for anything like that, shouldn't we have those for a discussion for later? Shouldn't we include those reports like a I mean, I could show you here, but it's section 1104A and 1105A, plan review and design standards. If we're gonna do something, could we be consistent with asking for different items? Might help like an agritourism, and I'd be glad to talk with you later about, but I was just going, could we make plan reviews, at least asking for certain reports for maybe like agritourism, where we've got all these things in one, where we're asking for more than, well, come back next month, we're gonna have to separate it out. And the example would be like in 1104A, plan review, and this is out of R6. Under submission of application for R6 approval, you've got several things you're asking for. And then if you flip on over to the next page of this, under 2, you've got proposed development like supply, off-street parking plan. You've got 4 items, then a written plan of intent. You've got like 6 or 8 items. That would probably be a lot of things we would want to know about for a development like agritourism. And I guess what I'm really trying to say is, could we, if we're gonna look at these things in detail, could we use the same reports under different categories that we're already using under A6?
So if I can interpret, you're looking for a template that is direct, that the staff would follow specifically, so that as members of the commission, we could consider and look for the consistency that you're looking for.
Yeah, a template would be one way, or if it's better to incorporate it in the ordinance like for A6, because I was scratching my head. Well, I know, excuse me, I was saying A6, A6, that we approved tonight. You've got, and I understand because that the R6 zoning is a little bit different than others, and you're asking for extra stuff. And like under agritourism, so it's consistent. So even when the applicant comes in, they know they're going to have to provide all these things, whether it's a template or whether it's
Right.
incorporated in the ordinance. And I know I'm probably not explaining that because I'm trying to watch the clock, get us out of here.
Would one
No,
of the,
I think that's fine.
so that would follow what you mentioned before, was if it's a C, it's this, and if it's a C1, you say everything that we did in C is acceptable, but now this is also added, or this is taken out. Is that consistent with what Commissioner Bryant is asking?
But that was just dealing with uses, but I think AT agritourism is probably the only one that doesn't have what you're talking about, because let's say y'all get a rezoning to commercial and it happens to be on Highway 19. Like the overlays and stuff already on the highway would spell out a certain amount of information that's needed.
Right.
So
right.
I think agritourism probably is the only one that doesn't have that checklist.
Well, and that's the one I guess I was really looking at for this applicability for the event center, barn dominium, everything.
Yeah,
together.
we can put the checklist in AT.
Well, because I mean, that
Yeah.
we got to get extra information.
Right.
Applicant, here's what you got to have.
Right.
Versus.
Yeah,
that's
that's
you're gonna have to
doable.
come back another month.
Yep.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
This is too much fun.
A second
I'll second.
for, all in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you for your attendance and your
Thank you.
attention.